For task 3, you're going to be looking at Google Forms. So the first part, I'm going to show you the survey results that you took in Google Forms. And then I'm going to have you create a new form and play with the question types. So the survey, here's the survey that you took. Now the interesting part about this are these responses. In the responses, I get a summary report showing the question, how many people answered certain questions. Um, so you can kind of see that people did not use Google Forms very often or Google Drive very often. And, um, they kind of want to use Google Drive with their students. And they also want to be able to use their iPads and Chromebooks with their students. So you can kind of see it's heavily on this side. And then here are your responses that you made to the question that I asked. Basically, you wanted to know how this would benefit your students. So how do you create a Google form? Inside the folder that you created earlier for the earlier task, you should just have that open. If not, you can go back to your Google Drive and open it up. So we're inside the folder now. Go to New, Forms, Google Forms. Now, if it doesn't show up here, I just went to More, and the little menu popped up, and Google Forms is in here. Create a new folder, yes. So here is a blank Google form. So you can give it a title. And you can give it a name. Up here is always where the names go. And you notice that I put in the title, and when I clicked up here, it automatically put it up there. Um, call it my sample form, maybe. And everything is flexible, so you can change it. So if you make a mistake, that's all right. So here are the questions. Um, so if I'm up here, I have certain options, but when I click on the question, I get some different options. So I can do multiple choice questions. So my question, and you can have option 1, option 2, and I can change these. Yes, no, whatever. So that's one question type. And I can change the question type. And what I did was I just clicked over here where it says multiple choice. I can have short answers, my question, and then you can't do anything here. The student will fill that in. So if you go to this preview, this little eyeball, it'll give you a preview of what your form looks like. And here's my question, my sample form, and the student will write some sort of short answer and submit it to you. I can close this window. Don't close my sample form, but close the live one that you opened. Leave. And you can have a longer answer for paragraphs. So it doesn't look any different, but you can put more words in the paragraph form. So when you go to what the student will see, the little purple line is a little bit longer, but it'll just keep going for days. And also you can press enter and write a whole paragraph. A kid could submit a paragraph in here if they wanted to. Close the live one. Go back to the one I'm working on. Um, so we did short answer, paragraph, multiple choice. There's also check boxes. So if you want them to choose more than one answer, you would do check boxes. So this allows them to check more than one answer. So if you go to preview, option 1 and option 3, so they can check 2 answers. Now, if you went back to multiple choice, multiple choice only allows them to check 1 of the options. So if you go to the preview, if I check option 1 and then I check option 3, you notice option 1, the radio button becomes unselected. So I can only check 1. That's the multiple choice. With the check boxes, I can do more than 1, but not in here, in the live version. In the drop-down box is where my options would appear in a drop-down box. So the students won't be able to see all these options until they click on the box. So if you go to the preview and go to choose, so here's my question, and then choose, they can only choose one of these options. So it could be, so if you have some preset options for them, then they'll show up like this. And a linear scale. So if you put low for 1, high for 5, so they're going to have a scale that they can choose from. So if you go to preview, they can pick 1 for low, 3 for medium, or 5 for high. So this is another question type. And for the multiple grid, now you're going to have rows and columns. So row 1, row 2, column 1, column 2. So we're just going to do it this way just so you can see what it looks like. And then go to preview. So they can choose different things. So you can play with these question types and see how this works. So they choose something from column 1, choose something from column 2 that correlates with row 1 and row 2. And then you put the date and time. I usually put the date at the beginning when they put their name on the form. So the way I would create a form is not start with a question, but the question would be maybe have them put their name on the form. So name, whoops, name with a short answer. And then over here, it says add question, this little plus button. So after they put their name, they might put the date um, that they answered this form if they want. So it automatically chose date since it knows that that I wrote date here. So it just knew I wanted to put the date in there. So now what this is going to look like is the student would put their name and then they would put the date. Now, if they know the date, they can do it, but this little drop down menu will let them see the calendar and they can choose the date as well. So you can put this in there before you start having them answer questions. And the time, you know, if you're doing some activity where they need to put the time in, especially for the younger students, this might work for them. You know, what time is it right now? And then have all the kids submit their answers. Um, and so you can then see the results and see how many kids um, knew the answer to that question. So that would work as well, especially for the younger grades. So that's the quick Google Forms. And for task 3, that's all you needed to do. Thank you very much.